Good morning, everyone. This is Elayne from Anabellas. Welcome back to Cross Stitch School lesson number 5. If you are a new viewer and just found this channel, you can go to my website at anabellas.net and download your free chart, and then you can watch the videos and catch up with us. This is a free 6-week course, and today on lesson 5, I'm going to be teaching you how I personally do my borders to make sure that they line up when I'm done stitching. So I just want to thank all of my returning viewers. Thank you so much for giving me last Sunday with my family on Mother's Day. I didn't do class that day, but I appreciate it. And I hope all of you were able to go ahead and finish up your design except for the border. Today's going to be a quick video. This isn't hard, so it's not going to take me very long to show you how I personally do my borders to make sure that they line up and I don't have to rip out stitches at the end. So the first thing that I do is when my design is complete, I just pick usually the center or close to the center, and I go all the way over to the last stitch on this side right here, always in the middle, right? So about the middle. So I find the middle of my design and then just go all the way over, and I count how many stitches I need before I have to start my border. So you're going to look at your chart. And I'm starting here with the tree. I'm starting at this stitch right here. So I'm counting over 1, 2, 3, and my needle is going to go into the 4th, and I'm going to make an X right at the 4th square. So 1, 2, 3, and the needle into the 4th. So what I did here, is I counted over 1, 2, 3, and I put my needle right here, and I made that very first X. Then what I do is I go up to the top here, and I go all the way to the top, and I do the same thing. I look at my chart, and I see how many squares I have to stitch from the top, and I skip 1. So I'm skipping 1, I'm putting it in the 2nd. So I come up here, and I skip 1, and I put my needle right here in the 2nd. So there's 1, and then this is my stitch. Then what I do to make it simple for myself is I stitch from here to here, and I make sure they match. I don't necessarily complete the whole line. You can do that if you want, but I'm trying to make sure that this corner is going to line up. So then as soon as I have my stitch here, up here, I count all these over till I get to the end, and then I come down here and I stitch up. And as long as I can see that these corners are all going to match, then I know that I've done it correctly and that my border is going to line up on this side. So let me go through that one more time with you slowly. I look at my chart, I count how many squares I have to count over before I put my needle in, and I counted I need 3 squares and put my needle in the 4th. So 1, 2, 3, my needle went in the 4th right there, and then you can stitch up and then count over here. How many squares do I need? 1. So I skip 1, put my needle in here, and I stitch over. This lines up. Now I do the same thing on the other side. I come over here, I look at my chart, and my chart says I come over 2 squares from here. 1, 2, and I put my needle in the 3rd square. One more time. 1, 2, needle goes right here in the 3rd. So here's my design. Here's my tree, counting over 1, 2, and my needle went right here in the 3rd square. Then what I do is I come down to the bottom, and I look here, and I have to come down 2. So I look over here, here's my chart, count how many squares do I have to come down to get to the bottom. 1, 2, and I put my needle in the 3rd. So I do the same thing. I come here, count down 1, 2, and I put my needle here. Then what I did, I stitched all these over, and from here, as long as this lines up, then I know that my border is going to match. So again, I did 1, 2, and put it in the 3rd. Down here, I did 1, 2, put it in the 3rd, and then I stitched over and stitched up. And when I have those stitches here, I can tell visually that everything is going to line up perfectly. And that's all there is to it. It is just that simple. So again, I started on my right. I started here. I went to the top, and I made this edge first. Then I went over here, started here, came down, started here. This all matches. Everything will line up perfectly. And then I can just mindlessly stitch in all of the other stitches in the design. It is so simple. So I will try to talk about that in the class notes. I don't know that it's going to make much sense. You're probably going to have to watch the video a couple of times, or you can certainly send me an email. But again, just take your time. Use this method a few times. You know, don't just assume that, you know, when you start stitching, if you were just to start to stitch, that your border's going to match. Borders can be a little difficult. If you missed a stitch anywhere in your chart, which is okay, because we believe in that it's okay to be perfectly imperfect, that works until you go to do your border, because missing a stitch could mean that, you know, you get here and your line is completely off. So just try this method, see if it works for you. Leave me some comments below. Let me know if this method was successful for you. I would love that. And I hope you enjoyed stitching this. This was just a fun little stitch that I thought you all would like. And I just love how many of you have switched out colors and patterns. I saw on Facebook that a couple people changed the pet to a cat. You guys are great. Please be sure that you have joined the Facebook group for Cross Stitch School, and that you are sharing your work and joining in the camaraderie with fellow stitchers. That would be great. Next week, what I'm going to do for lesson number 6, which will be our final lesson, is I'm going to be sharing some techniques on how to make finishing fun. And we do believe in making finishing fun here at Anabellas. And in June, we're going to be launching a brand new YouTube series on making finishing fun, so that you can have lots and lots of ideas on how you can finish your cross-stitch pieces. So next week, I'm going to give you a couple of ideas on how you can finish this particular piece. So be sure to check in next Sunday, and make sure that you have indeed subscribed to the channel and rung the notification bell, so that you are notified not only when I have a new video to share and news, but when we do launch Make Finishing Fun. Until then, I hope everyone has a great Sunday. Be happy, be well, and most of all, be kind. See you next week. Bye-bye.